The story begins with a woman leading a young man to a room, where she reveals a number of attractive young women behind a screen. The woman urges the boy to choose any one of them, as he's destined to make plot with all of them. 5 years ago, Ryudo was diagnosed with a serious disease, for which he would be put to cold sleep for many years. At the hospital, Ryudo bid goodbye to his family, but then his girlfriend came, who he gave his necklace. He was gradually immersed in a pool and fell unconscious. When he wakes up, he sees a strange woman named Mira. She puts him in a car and reveals to him that everything has drastically changed since the world got hit by the MK virus. More than half of the population died, with resources getting scarce day by day. She informs him that the world's advanced AI is busy finding a vaccine for this disease. A confused Ryudo escapes out of the car and runs into a town, but all the ladies stare at him as if his face were covered in white cream. Suddenly, a crazy woman rushes at him, who wants to engage in plot. However, she's controlled with an electric shock. Mira discloses to him the shocking news that the male killer virus has ended 99.9% of the male population, and only 5 males are left alive who are completely healthy. Therefore, Ryudo needs to repopulate the Earth in order to save mankind from extinction. In the evening, Mira enters his room. However, Ryudo rejects her as he only wants to have fun time with his crush Arisa. Mira says that until Arisa is found, she will send a girl every night to Ryudo's room until he finally shares his secret sauce. The following day, a young man named Hino is getting massages from some beauties while watching a movie. He really likes the actress in the movie and wants to engage in plot with her. Soon the young girl is brought to him to satisfy his plot. Meanwhile, Ryudo is having lunch with Maharu and Mira, and the latter tells him that they have chefs belonging to all ethnicities. She reveals that the man who woke up before Ryudo preferred human-made food rather than the one prepared by machines. Jokes aside, Mira has a huge appetite for such a thin woman. Mira tells Ryudo that from now onwards, he will be accompanied by a bodyguard and a nurse who will also share the bed with him at night, in order to ensure his safety and that of his secret tasty sauce. After a while, Ryudo meets Hino, who is also known as Number 1. Hino urges Ryudo to get busy in the plot development procedure as the whole world is in a mess. He also advises him to enjoy plotting, as to him the whole thing is a paradise. However, Ryudo's heart only beats for Arisa and he cannot think about anyone else. After having a shower, he is almost bombarded by an attractive girl named Akane, whom Ryudo presumes to be his assigned bodyguard. Ryudo is so terrified of her that he screams like a little girl to let him go. Akane tries her best, but to her horror, the loser passes out. When he wakes up, he finds Akane lying on the couch near his bed with her plots flying everywhere, while a little girl comes out of his sheets. Her name is Sui, and Ryudo feels that Sui is very young to be a nurse. At night, poor Ryudo is sandwiched between the two ladies while sleeping and does his best to avoid getting plotted by both. The next morning, an exhausted Ryudo begins to look for Arisa, and he tells Mira that earlier, he gave her a pendant that has a transmitter attached to it. The pendant is still sending out signals to his cell phone, meaning that Arisa is still alive. Suddenly, a bear enters the building and is about to attack Ryudo, when Sui takes a leap and pins down the bear in no time. Akane reveals to a stupefied Ryudo that Sui is his actual bodyguard. Ryudo is almost electrified by shock. It is disclosed to Ryudo that Arisa vanished a couple of years ago, and a short while later, all her research data about the MK virus was stolen. Ryudo secretly goes on a live broadcast, promising people that he will find a cure for the MK virus as he is immune to it. He vows that he will bring those men back to life who are currently in cold sleep. Maharu confronts him for putting his life in danger and not being able to find a suitable woman to plot. Later, he finds a smart ring inside a teddy bear. As he plays it, a message appears that was left by Arisa. Arisa tells him that the virus is man-made and the whole world is full of liars. She informs him that she has some very important information regarding the MK virus. Some shady people are talking about the men they have released so far. They are quite satisfied with the performance of Number 1, who is plotting women like a monkey. However, they feel that Number 2 is a complete failure, and they will probably have to release Number 3. We're then introduced to Doi, who is being harassed by a bully named Tamakatsu. Poor Doi is all alone without any friends. His classmates sympathize with him, but none of them dare to take a stand for him. He's called Doji for being slow and stupid and also having white hair like an old man. This sad loser's life gets even worse when he gets diagnosed with cellular sclerosis, as he'll be put to sleep for 5 years. The teacher with enormous plot tries to cheer him up. On his last day at school, he catches the football captain with the popular girl. They beat him up, just as hard as Will Smith beat up Chris Rock. The captain spits on him and apologizes that he'll die as an ugly, disgusting, lonely, creepy virgin. The following day, he's put to cold sleep. When he wakes up from his sleep, a girl greets him. Her name is Karen and she's his attendant. Karen takes him to his dorm room, where she tells him about the MK virus and that he's one of the few men alive. Soon, Doi is brought to his old school, which is now full of women. He meets his old teacher, who is very excited to meet him. She asks him to meet her tonight, for obvious reasons. During PE, Karen shows him a few girls of various types that might suit Doi's interest. Doi reveals that he was very nervous when he heard that there were only girls left, as he never touched one in his previous life. Karen confronts him, saying that he can have infinite Riz now, just like Dan Bilzerian. At night, he meets his teacher. They sit on her bed and talk, but Doi can only focus on her plot. Yuzu turns off the lights and gives him a reward for beating his disease. At school, Doi can't believe he got to make plot with his teacher for the first time. The rich girl, named Natsu, tries to get close to Doi by leaning into him. Another girl comes along and also tries to get close to him, but this makes Natsu jealous and she pinches Doi. That's some SS rank daddy money plot. Next, he enters the gym and watches in awe. A small red-haired girl sees this and claims that she can serve like a pro. However, Tondu makes such a powerful move that the ball hits the girl and Doi. Tondu approaches him and gets down on her knees, apologizing for her mistake. In the music class, Yuzu approaches Doi and asks him whether he is upset by their last night's adventure. She then spots the bump on his forehead and gives him a kiss. Later, Karen informs her boss that the experiment with Doi was an immense success. She then snaps up the pictures of both Doi and Riito and vows that she won't lose to either of them. The following morning, Doi is sleeping peacefully when he's woken up by Yuzu. She informs him that there is no school that day, so they can spend some time together. While Yuzu has her back toward him, Doi watches her and realizes that they have been engaging in plot for nearly a week. Later, Karen rushes him towards the gym where the ladies are already warming up. Doi is reluctant, but Karen tells him that it's been a week since he woke up from the cold sleep and he needs to exercise as he's getting fat. When Doi tells her that he doesn't need to, Karen winks at him, saying that she knows he has been getting a lot from Yuzu. Doi blushes like a tomato and comes clean. Karen advises him to do some swimming. After a while, Doi is warming up with his classmates, and he feels uncomfortable because he senses that the girls are watching his every move. During swimming, there is a competition between Shunka and Taudu. Later, Natsu finishes first place. She waves at Doi, who is completely in awe of her personality. Taudu walks away in disappointment, and Karen watches the whole scene in great amusement. Later that night, Yuzu apologizes to Doi that they cannot meet due to her engagements. However, Natsu pays him a surprise visit and says that she will be staying here for a week. Doi is still puzzled when he receives a message from Karen that since the air conditioning broke down, a girl will be sharing his room every week. Doi wonders whether the reward for the swimming competition was a week's stay in his room, and Karen naughtily winks at him. The next morning, Doi wonders about Yuzu and whether she is mad at him for some reason. Then Natsu makes the most bizarre request, and that is to help her change clothes. She is so filthy rich that she has her servants change her clothes for her. Doi has no choice but to fulfill her request, and while doing so he notices a scar on her body. He narrates the whole incident to Karen, who tells him that she hopes Natsu wasn't bothered by the incident. However, Doi says that he's even more embarrassed than Natsu. She suggests that he should help Natsu change during the bath, and a faint smile appears on Doi's face. That night he calls Yuzu, who advises him to treat the other girls nicely. The following night, Natsu sleeps with him on the same bed and confesses her love for him. In a short time, a vulnerable Doi gives in to the temptation, and both exchange plots with each other. Meanwhile, Riito has dedicated himself to research for the cure of the MK virus, and it could be seen that he is very popular among the masses. Riito is told by Mira that Maharu is getting involved in the refugee camp. If it is revealed that she is related to Riito, then things could become difficult for her. Doi faces a shocking revelation that the whole school setup was made only for him so that he can spend time with more and more girls in order to continue the human race. Meanwhile, Mira is removed from her position as Riito's personal attendant because she's a failure. Riito is busy working on his research and is anxious because the variant of the MK disease isn't getting any weaker. While on his way, he collides with a co-worker who has her plot exposed. When she sees that he's a man, she runs in panic. A fellow researcher calls Riito a disgusting loser because of this. Riito does his best to come clean. However, the lady warns him that he won't be able to do that stuff again. Shocking news is broken to Ryudo that Mira is no longer his personal attendant, and from now onwards he will have 2 new attendants, Maria, the one with whom he collided, and Ria, the one who called him a disgusting loser. Ryudo protests because he doesn't want Mira to leave. However, the hiring lady tells him that if he likes her so much then he must share his secret recipe with her.
What do you mean by that?
Ria confirms to Ryudo that Mira lost her job because of him. She warns him that if he doesn't find someone quickly, she will restrict his freedom. Can anyone in the comments explain to me how this guy is still an ugly, disgusting loser, despite being able to choose from any girl in the goddamn world? On their way to the hot springs, Ryudo accidentally drops some juice on Maria's clothes. While she's changing, she gives some important information about the MK virus to Ryudo. He suggests a theory that the virus might be created by humans. However, she suddenly drops her towel and praises his idea. She tells him that in order to find out more, he must visit Kemen City where the first victim of the virus appeared. They all reach the resort and Mira, Akane, and Sui are also accompanied by Ryudo. Akane wishes that Maharu could also join them. However, an annoying Ria says that outsiders are not allowed. They get into an argument, and Ria gets hit with a pillow, making her furious. In the holographic pool, Ryudo is joined by all the ladies to have some harmless fun and to finally create his harem. One by one the ladies get their backs washed by Ryudo. However, there's an awkward moment when it's Mira's turn. Akane appears and makes him wash her back, and other sus things. This terrifies Ryudo, making him flee like a coward. Later they visit Lady Taniguchi and try her to reveal how her husband contracted the MK virus, as he was the first person in Japan to catch the disease. The old lady is not willing to cooperate. A disappointed Maria tells Ryudo that if only they could find out what Mr. Taniguchi was doing at that time. He visits the lady again, who tells him to focus on making kids rather than making vaccines. But Ryudo tells her that he can't do that because he can only simp on one girl at a time. The following night at a sauna he meets an American exchange student named Chloe. She challenges him that he won't be able to resist her plots. When she forces herself to stay there longer, she passes out. However, when he tries to feed her water with his mouth, he is caught in a bizarre position by the girls, who get the wrong idea that he's plotting with a strange woman. The next day they all pay a visit to Ms. Taniguchi, and she promises to tell them about her husband the next day. It is revealed that the old lady is in contact with Arisa and urges her to come and claim her man, or else she will lose him to the other pretty girls. But Ms. Taniguchi's condition worsens and she goes into a coma, but before that, she leaves a framed photo of herself and her husband for Ryudo. The following day, Ryudo and his gang reach the hospital where Mr. Taniguchi was hospitalized. The hospital is cold and desolate, with no signs of life. Ryudo, Sui, and Maria try their level best but are unable to find any clue. Meanwhile, Hino is having the time of his life with many attractive girls surrounding him and ready to plot with him. However, he feels like his life is starting to become mundane and boring. Meanwhile, Ria tells Akane that she noticed something disturbing in Ms. Taniguchi's records. Akane is skeptical about Ria's strange behavior. It seems that she knows a lot, but her ego and anger don't allow her to be close to anybody. Ryudo and his gang try to find some clues regarding the photo frame that was given to him by Ms. Taniguchi, but he's unable to find any. Maria discloses that she has a younger sister studying at some school in Kemen, but doesn't know her very well. Meanwhile, Ryudo wonders why Taniguchi wanted Ryudo to have the photo frame first. He then remembers Arisa's ring and goes into the bathroom. He flashes the message and learns about the development of the artificial male-killing virus. He quickly guesses that Ms. Taniguchi didn't trust anybody except him, and that's why she didn't disclose anything in front of the ladies. But he wonders how she knew Arisa. Poor Ryudo is baffled because now he doesn't know whom to trust. Elsewhere, Ria pays a surprise visit to her sister. Meanwhile, Ryudo is happy that he has managed to extract information about the development of the MK virus, but some of the data is damaged, so he will need some researchers to help him. He then asks Maria why the development process of the vaccine is so slow. She explains that even though she wants to do more research, the technological director refrains from letting her do so as he wants the technical resources to be used on food production. She also reveals that all the top scientists are in America. Even the higher-ups of the global elite are present there. Their conversation is interrupted by Akane and Ria, and Akane tells him that Hino has shown interest in Maharu. However, Maharu is completely against it, and Ryudo defends her by saying that she is only 16. Akane is afraid that Hino won't give up so easily. Being a good boy, Ryudo decides to talk to Hino, who pleads and begs him that it is love at first sight and he just wants to talk to her. If things go well, then they might engage in some Netflix plot. He begs and convinces Ryo to talk to Maharu, and they might become brothers forever. Meanwhile, the women of the global elite are having a meeting and they talk about how many groups in different countries are opposing the elites. They also discuss the scarcity of food supplies. Ryo suggests that if they would let Ryo distribute food rations, this might calm down the angry masses. Meanwhile, Ryo is taking a shower when Maria and Akane join him and explain that this is where they can have a private discussion together. Akane warns him that she knows that he has been researching for the cure, but she is afraid that he might get killed. She tells him that all the important virologists have vanished. Akane makes a startling revelation that the director of Global Elites Japan is her mother. Suddenly Ria barges in and Akane quickly pushes Ryo and complains to Ria for ruining their fun, hoping to distract her. Ria reminds Ryo about the ration distribution and leaves. Later Ria visits Mira and a strange kind of affection is shown from Ria's side towards Mira, but Mira always gives her the cold shoulder. The next day Ryo and the girls visit the refugee camp, and Akane grabs the opportunity to form a hideout in an isolated camp as she feels that the global elite won't find them here. Meanwhile, the ladies at the refugee camps are excited to see Ryo, and this shows that he has truly become a ladies' man in no time. However, unknown to Ryo, someone is targeting him from the top of the building. But suddenly Ria's sister comes along and eliminates that girl before she can do anything. She then informs Ria that her work is done and the shooter is completely unrecognizable. Meanwhile, Hino is dating Maharu, who has forcefully tagged Ryo along with them. Hino is trying to know Maharu better, but the latter answers him coldly with a bored expression. At the refugee camp, Ryo is surprised to find old computers. Maria knows how to hack, which she learned from a friend in America. However, it is revealed that her friend is no longer in America but in the hospital. She also finds out that researchers in America are mysteriously disappearing in an abandoned hospital, and this is the hospital where the first MK victim was sent. Ryo suggests that the hospital at Kimen may be the place where the MK virus was created. Elsewhere, Doi and Natsu are together in bed. Natsu tells Doi that this is their last night together, so she wants to spend some extra time with him. The following day, a lucky draw is being held by Karen, who is trying to pick the lucky lady who will be spending the whole week with Doi. None of the girls manage to win the draw yet, but suddenly a girl wins. She follows him to the restroom, but Doi runs away in horror. He enters the office, where he meets Shunka. They start talking and eventually spill the cream. When Doi reaches his dorm along with Shunka, that strange girl from before is also there, desperate for some plot. Shunka criticizes her for being vulgar and tells her it all depends on Doi's choice. However, the argument gets so aggressive that a terrified Doi runs away. On finding comfort, he tries to call Yuzu, but she doesn't respond. He encounters Taodu and has some fun with her as well, before running away. The following day, he goes to the gym to apologize to Taodu. However, she takes him to the storage place to finish the deed. At night, he asks Karen to make Yanagi leave as he's tired, meaning that he's sleeping alone for the first time in ages. In the morning, Karen tells him that from now onwards a girl will be sent to Doi on a daily basis. The first one is Yanagi, who kisses him passionately. This makes Doi fall, injuring his hand. Karen worriedly takes him to the nurse, who gives him a full body scan. He asks the nurse why the bed is so big, but then Karen brings some girls in to take care of him, if you know what I mean. Karen is talking to a girl named Hashino and tells her that she is glad that Doi is getting used to the girls. Hilariously, Chifuyu is creating a potion for Doi to make him fall in love with her. When Doi intervenes, she gets frustrated with him. Karen informs him that Yuzu has been transferred to another city. Doi trembles in sheer rage and screams at Karen as to why he cannot have the woman he loves. Karen assures him that for a few days, a girl of Doi's choice will be sent to him every night for certain cuddling purposes. One day, Karen announces that a transfer student has joined their school. But when Doi sees her, he begins to tremble in fear. Doi thinks about the time when he was beaten by his bullies. Hashino saw this but wanted to have lunch there, despite her friend's reluctance. Since that day, Doi has despised Hashino for not helping when he was in trouble. During the break, Hashino finds Doi on the roof and approaches him. She admits that she has never been nice to him before but now needs his help. Doi gives her an evil grin and tells her to plot with him as per school rules. Hashino is in shock, but Doi tells her that he was joking. She decides to take help from his girlfriends, but they treat her like an outcast, as she appears quite older than them. Doi then asks Karen why she has brought Hashino over here. Karen replies that Hashino wants to join the global elites, but before that, she needs to watch Netflix with Doi. Doi then orders Hashini to come to class in only her plot armor, which she does. He then takes her to the rooftop and explains that in order to get the job, she needs to plot with him. Hashini complies but asks Doi to go to a private place, but Doi remarks that he wants to do it here. Karma hits Hoshino, but she has no other option left. At night, Karen tells Doi that whatever type of girl he wants will be sent to him instantly. Doi asks Karen whether she would like to make plot with him. She thinks for a moment but then complies readily. The scene shifts towards Rito, who is still trying to solve the mystery of the missing people from the Keeman hospital. Back to the nurse's room, Doi is busy measuring the girls for their health. The nurse thanks Doi for helping her out, and teasingly asks him why he thinks she made him do all the work. Earlier, Doi asked Karen to track down a certain girl, which she successfully did. A chained Erica is presented to Doi and Karen tells him that she is working as a janitor. Erica is shocked to see Doi in front of her, as she used to be his bully back in the day. Doi angrily throws a bucket of water at her and finally gets his revenge. Later, Karen receives a call from Kahara and it is revealed to them that Yuzu is pregnant, which is why she was taken away. Kahara instructs Karen to send more pregnant women to her. Back in class, Doi has completely transformed from a shy boy to a bold and strong alpha male, who's ready to take any female he wants. Earlier, Karen announced that whoever would become Doi's first wife would get a life of luxury. In the evening, he brings a girl to his room where he has kept Erica on the bedpost. The girl questions him about Erica, but he says that they mustn't pay attention to her and enjoy themselves. Doi asks Erica about her bully boyfriend and she says that she has no idea what happened to him. But Doi couldn't care less, of course. Erica asks him why they can't keep their past behind as it has been 5 years. However, a fully raged Doi attacks Erica and says that it must be easy for her to forget. Meanwhile, Rito is on his way to that dreaded hospital with hopes of finding Arisa. The scene shifts to the global elite headquarters in Japan, where it is being discussed that a woman from America is heading toward Japan. The technical director informs them that she is coming here to wipe off the rebel organization. The head is skeptical about their true intentions and warns everyone that they must be cautious. In Doi's classroom, Doi spots a short-haired girl and offers her the honor. However, that girl declines. Later that day, the short-haired girl receives a call from Arisa, who apologizes to her for facing troubles, but she assures her that their plan will soon be successfully executed. Rito visits the same hospital where the MK virus was first born. He is accompanied by his self-acclaimed bodyguard Sui, who clings to him in the darkness, and it seriously appears that the roles are reversed here. She almost has a heart attack when Akane jumps at her from behind. Akane then begins to tease Rito about Mira and calls him a loser with a V card. Sui criticizes Akane for teasing Rito, but she scares her again, causing her to hit a wall. A secret passageway opens in front of them. The American lady arrives in Japan and reveals that she is not who they were expecting. Rito and his girl gang crawl through an air duct and accidentally fall down through a vent. Suddenly, they find themselves standing in front of the technical director. She threatens that they won't be able to get out alive. Maria asks her whether she created the MK virus, but before she can answer, she is eliminated by some soldiers. A beautiful, blonde lady enters. On closer look, Rito immediately recognizes her as Chloe, the woman who he met in the sauna. Suddenly, there is a massive explosion and Chloe asks them all to escape to a helicopter standing outside. The whole building bursts into flames. A disappointed Rito thinks about how close he was to getting information about the virus. Outside the school, Karen has captured Hoshino, who wants to flee to Tokyo. However, Karen tells her that she cannot leave without Doi's permission. Meanwhile, at the global elite, the American woman is assured by Director Kahara that they don't have anything to do with their technical director. Hope asks why they hid the fact that they had another MK-resistant male. Kahara signals the guards to capture Hope, but the guards turn out to be Hope's men and begin to open fire at the elites. A traitor disclosed everything to Hope, and Hope arrests the directors of the UW for committing serious crimes. Meanwhile, it is revealed to Rito that global elites were only pretending to help him. However, they made the MK virus in that hospital, and in order to remove the traces, they exploded the whole building. Chloe informs him that a rebel group has been activated and Arisa is working with them. Doi's school also gets demolished by the explosions. Doi is dreaming about Yuzu when he's abruptly awoken by Karen. She informs him that they had been attacked by some rebels and the whole school was blown away due to a horrible blast. Soon, Doi is surrounded by concerned ladies who are worried about his well-being. Later, Doi and Karen are standing on the roof when Doi shares his fears that it might not be safe outside. But Karen comforts him. Karen reminds him that he is a very important asset to the world. She then makes a shocking revelation to him that there are 4 other men who are still alive and can save humanity. Doi asks her why she didn't want to plot with him. Karen explains that the situation is like a soccer game, and she wants to be the coach instead of a player. The whole conversation was overheard by a short-haired girl, who calls Arisa and informs her about the whole situation. Arisa tells her to move away from that place as the situation is becoming very risky. Arisa and her group have retrieved number 4, who is in his sleeping pod, and are about to awaken him. Chloe reminds Ryudo that Arisa has also become a part of the rebel group, which confirms Ryudo's worst fear. Chloe praises Ryudo's amazing willpower and self-control that stopped him from becoming part of Japan's most disgusting controversy. Chloe then leaves and calls her senior, telling her that they will temporarily stop all plot activity. In her room, Chloe begins to laugh like a maniac and says that their dream is about to come true. Ryudo and Akane have a private conversation in the bathroom, and Akane tells him that her mother Kihira has been accused of creating the MK virus, which is impossible. She knows her mother to be an honest and dedicated person. However, she has doubts about that lady of a Chloe. She begins to cry and tells him that 5 years ago her younger brother died, and her mother didn't even attend his funeral as she was too busy. Ryudo feels sorry for Akane and decides to investigate the whole truth. Maria rushes in and shows them a live broadcast where Arisa discloses that they are not rebels but are a group dedicated to releasing the world from the clutches of the global elites. Arisa introduces number 4 to the world and says that even he is immune to the MK virus, just like Ryudo. She then reveals some pictures of a satellite, on which a high concentration of the MK virus has been traced. The owner of that satellite is one of the heads of the global elites. Now it is quite clear how the MK virus was spread around the world. Arisa reveals that the global elites want to remove the traces of the male gender from the world, and dreams to create a fantasy world ruled by women. She demands elites release the men who are trapped in cold sleep. Her broadcast gets terminated and a woman appears, asking the public to ignore Arisa's message. Ryudo visits Chloe and demands an explanation. Chloe says that if they truly wanted to eradicate all the males, then he would have been dead by now. She debunks all the rumors and Ryudo gets silent. Shortly after, Chloe calls her seniors, who tell her that they have removed Arisa's video completely from the internet, as they want their plan to be executed flawlessly. While walking down the passageway, Akane remembers she asked her mother about the details of the MK virus, but her mother refused to reveal any. When Ryudo enters his room, he sees Karen and a strange young man he has never seen before. Earlier, Karen gave Doi a completely new look by using anti-aging technology that makes him look like a teen. Karen asks Ryudo about Chloe, to which he replies that Chloe has a complex personality. He's confused because Chloe thinks Arisa is corrupt while Arisa says that the global elites are horrible. Karen then notices Maria and sends her to a room to reunite with her friends. Later, Doi and Karen are talking about Ryudo. Karen feels he is a softie, however, Doi finds him to be more intelligent than Hino. Meanwhile, Ryudo asks Mira to come to the washroom, which horrifies her. He asks her to run away with him from the global elite. He tells her that the girl who broadcasted her message earlier is Arisa. He wants Mira to help him find out the truth. Mira's feelings arise and she asks Ryudo to plot with her. When Ryudo shows his reluctance, Mira bursts into tears and a flashback is shown where Mira is watching Ryudo on TV in her younger days. A spark of love sparks between Ryudo and Mira, but Hope and her comrades infiltrate the bathroom. Hope informs them that she has been instructed by Chloe to transport Ryudo to America. However, Akane and Sui fight off the comrades, and Hope takes Mira hostage. However, Ria saves the day and rescues Ryudo and Mira from Hope. Meanwhile, a deal takes place between Karen and Chloe, and Karen asks Chloe to make her the head of the global elite. Soon, Ria helps the group to reunite with all of their friends. They all board a ship to Taiwan, but Mira stays behind and Ryudo asks her to wait for his return. The ship soon reaches its destination, where Ryudo and Arisa have a beautiful reunion. Watch this next video, and I'll see you next time.